Hello students, today we will be looking at a poem from the book Flamingo, an elementary school classroom in a slum, written by Stephen Spender. About the poet, Stephen Spender, born in the year 1909 and died in 1995, was a poet and English essayist. Spender had keen interest in politics and so he declared himself as socialist and pacifist. His work concentrated on themes of social injustice and the class struggle. Now, a short introduction to the lesson. The poem written by Stephen Spender describes the social inequalities which are prevailing in the society. In the poem, he describes the condition of the students of an elementary school which is situated in a slum area. The poet wants to draw attention of everyone towards these kids so that their life can be improved and they may get trained to become good citizens rather than criminals. Poem and explanation. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair drawn round their pallor, the tall girl with her wig down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from mistakes, at back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. Now we will be looking at few difficult words and its meaning. The first one is gusty waves and its meaning is breezy winds. Pallor means pale dull face. Stunted means not fully grown due to malnutrition. Gnarled means knotted or rough. Weeds means unwanted plants that grow on their own. Paper-seeming boy means very thin boy, as thin as a sheet of paper. Heir means successor. After the word meaning, let us now look at literary devices used in the first stanza. Simile, the first one used over here. Simile, like in children are compared with rootless weed using the word like. Then the other literary device is metaphor. The boy is compared with paper as he is thin. So paper seeming boy without the use of like, as or than. Then we have repetition because at the very onset we see far, far and these two words are repeated. Now let's understand what is there in the first stanza. The poet describes the children who study in an elementary school. Elementary school means a school which is up to class 8, which is set up in a slum area. The poet says that the faces of children are dull and without any energy. They are not full of energy like other kids of the age. These children are compared to unwanted weed. Here, the writer wants to say that these children seem to be unwanted like the unwanted weeds which grow on their own in the fields. Their hair is not neatly done. It falls on their pale faces as if they have been torn apart. The children are untidy. They haven't combed their hair. Then he describes a tall girl who seems to be burdened by poverty. Her head is bent, maybe because of tiredness or shame. There is another boy who is so weak and thin that he has been compared to a sheet of paper. The boy's eyes reflect greed and he wants to achieve everything. Then he describes another student who is physically disabled. The poet says that this boy is unlucky because he inherited a disease from his father due to which he has a deformed body. Instead of getting any facility from his father, he has received a disease in heritage. This disabled boy is sitting on his bench and is reciting his lesson. At the back of the class in dim dark area was a small boy who was not visible to the poet as he was sitting in darkness. The poet, though, could see his eyes, which were bright and full of a dream. He was not paying attention to the class. It seemed as if he was rather interested in playing with squirrels in the tree house. Now, moving on to the second stanza of the poem. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belt flowery, Tyrolese valley, open-handed map, avoiding the wall it's walled, and yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, they walled. Where are all their futures painted with a fog? A narrow street sealed in with a lit sky, far, far from rivers, caves, and stars of words. Here in this stanza, sour means unpleasant. Here refers to the color of sour cream, off white or creamish. Donations, things given or received in charity. Dawn means early morning or sunrise. Civilized dome refers here, it means rising sun at the horizon, which is in shape of a dome, semicircle. Tyrolese Valley. It's a beautiful ice-free valley in Austria. Sealed means shut or locked. Lid means dark future of kids. Cape, a large piece of land that sticks out into the sea from the coast. The poetic devices used here are metaphor, like in walls are described to be dull as sour cream walls. Then we have again metaphor, like in narrow street sealed with a lit sky. Assonance is yet another literary device. Assonance means repetition of a vowel sound, like we have altogether 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and here in belt, flowery, Tyrolese valley, E sound is being repeated, hence serving the example of assonance. Then we have allusion reference to well-known person or place, like here Shakespeare's head, Tyrolese valley is used. Then we have repetition. In second stanza, the poet describes the walls of the school. They are cream in color, like the color of sour cream. This means that the walls are not clean. They have not been painted recently. The walls are covered with different charts and images that must have been donated by different people. There is a picture of Shakespeare on the wall. His head, which is bald, looks like the rising sun at the horizon. At the time of daybreak, the sun is rising at the horizon and is semicircular, like a dome shape. It seems to be behind all the cities. There is a picture of the famous Tyrolese Valley, which has beautiful flowers. There is the image of a map which helps all in its own way. But for these children, the map of the world is irrelevant. It is of no use because the slum where they live is totally different from what is shown in the map. Their world is only what they see out of the window of the classroom, the slum. Their future is full of darkness. Their future is compared to a narrow street, which means that there is no wide scope available for their growth or future growth. These children are far away from the radiant light of knowledge and education. Starting off with the third stanza, surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love, tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly run in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night. On the slag heap, these children wear skins, peep through by bones, and spectacles of steel, with mended glass, like bottle beads on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blurred their maps with slums as big as doom. Difficult word meanings. Wicked means evil, tempted means pursued, slyly means trickily, cramped means confined, slag means weak, mended means repaired, blot means to mark with a spot, doom means disaster. Literary devices used are metaphor, like in cramped holes, simile, like in bottle bits on stones, alliteration, use of F sound like in from fog. The explanation of the third stanza, the poet says that these children living in the slum area have faced so many hardships that they feel every other person to be their enemy. For them, Shakespeare is an evil man. They don't find the map to be a good thing. They were never liked or loved by anyone. Therefore, they hate almost everyone. Their desire of being loved by others forces them to steal. They live in small homes and they have started adjusting to it. Their life is going towards an endless night. This means that the future is full of darkness. These kids are so thin that one can easily see their bones through the thin layer of skin. Their skin is like the thin layer of cloth, and the bones beneath are visible through the skin. These kids suffer from malnutrition. They wear spectacles which are made of steel. They are cheap and very uncomfortable. Even the lenses in the spectacles are repaired. The spectacles look like stones which have been repaired with pieces of glass sticking out of them. Here, the poet tries to explain that these kids have to face so many hardships in their lives. As these slums are getting bigger, they will destroy the future of these children, and it is very difficult for such kids to escape from them. Reading out the last stanza for you. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Break, oh break, open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make the world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open, history theirs whose language is the sun. Here catacombs means tomb or cemetery, azure means deep blue. Literary devices used are metaphor and anaphora. Metaphor like in the white green leaves open, anaphor like in run azure and run naked. Use of repeated words in two consecutive lines is anaphora. If you remember, we have learned this in the first poem, My Mother at 66. Here in this last stanza, the poet says that the government should take notice of the problems being faced by these kids. He urges them to change the life of these kids and make the world map a reality for them. There is a need to break the restrictions which are put on them due to poverty and lack of resources. He wants the governor and public to help these kids in achieving their dreams, as this will take them away from the fog to azure sky. The poet here wants to say that in this way the kids can be taken away from the darkness of their present to a bright future. He wants these kids to experience the sense and the beauty of nature, as this will lead to a desire of gaining knowledge. They will then go through the white and green leaves. Here, white leaves depict books and green leaves depict nature. I guess you have been able to understand the poem, and say students, you have to understand that there are people who are suffering a lot. There are people who are less fortunate, unlike you. You have to treasure the things that you have. If you encounter someone who is in need, kindly go and help, because helping someone is the biggest humanitarian thing a person can do. And your homework is to solve the questions present in page number 93 and 94. And I believe that you will be able to submit it by tomorrow evening. Thank you.